Part 1, The Quiet Beginning. Estimated narration time 20 minutes. Soft rain begins to fall. A single temple bell rings in the distance. A faint bamboo flute hums beneath the sound of water. Welcome, traveler of stillness. You have journeyed through noise, through the world's endless movement, and arrived here. In this moment, beneath the quiet sky, there is nowhere to go now. Nothing to fix, nothing to chase. Only this breath, this presence, this gentle unfolding of now. Short silence, 6 seconds, the sound of rain deepens slightly. In Zen, there is a saying, peace is not something we find. It is what remains when we stop searching. Tonight, you do not need to achieve calm. You need only to stop running from it. For the peace you seek is not waiting in a distant temple. It has been sitting quietly within you all along. Settling the body, love wind through pine trees. Take a slow breath in through the nose and let it drift out through the mouth. Feel the air move through you like water passing over smooth stones. Let the shoulders loosen, let the jaw soften, let the tongue rest gently behind the teeth. The world can wait. You have returned home, not to a place, but to a state of being. Notice your body lying upon the earth, how gravity holds you steady and kind. The floor, the mat, the bed, they are all parts of the same earth. The same earth that has held you since the day you were born and will hold you until the day you return. Rain continues softly. A faint crackle of fire joins the background. Feel the rhythm of your breath, the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the slow waves of your belly expanding and releasing. With each breath, your body grows heavier, as if it is being welcomed by the ground. There is nothing to resist here. Each exhale is a small surrender. Each inhale is an invitation to rest. The mind like the sky. Wind softens, gentle flute melody returns. Imagine now that your mind is a vast open sky. Thoughts pass through like clouds, some bright, some dark, all temporary. You do not need to chase them nor push them away. The sky never fights the weather. It allows everything to pass through. This is awareness. The still sky behind the movement, the unshakable presence that watches and never clings. Breathe again softly. Watch how thoughts rise and fade. Feelings appear, dissolve. Sounds emerge, then vanish into silence. All things move, yet the awareness that sees them does not move. You are not the cloud of emotion, you are the sky that holds it. The ocean within. Low sound of waves joins, blending with rain. There was once a monk named Tao who lived by the sea. Each morning he sat by the shore to meditate. But every time he closed his eyes, his thoughts crashed like waves. Master, he told his teacher Genzo, my mind is like the ocean during a storm. I cannot make it still. Genzo smiled and led him to the water's edge. Look out there, he said. Can you stop the waves? No, said Tao. Then go deeper, said the master. Beneath the waves, the sea is calm. Sit in that depth, not on the surface. And so Tao began to breathe with the rhythm of the sea. He felt his thoughts rise and fall like the tides, each one appearing, shining briefly, and then dissolving. In time, he realized that he was not the waves. He was the water beneath them, vast, still, infinite. Soft wave sound fades to gentle ambient hum. The mind may roar at the surface, but deep within there is always still water. Go there. Let your awareness sink like a stone into the quiet depths of being. Beneath thought, beneath emotion, beneath everything that changes, there is a silence that does not end. The breath is a bridge. Temple bell chimes once, soft and distant. Each breath is a bridge between heaven and earth, between body and soul. The inhale gathers, the exhale releases, the inhale awakens, the exhale returns. You can follow the breath as a traveler follows a river home. Each inhalation a small beginning, each exhalation a gentle ending. This is the rhythm of the universe, birth and death, expansion and return, appearing and dissolving, again and again. So breathe. There is no rush to reach the end. The journey is the practice. The candle in the mind. New soft crackle of fire, flute fades out. Imagine now that in the center of your awareness there is a single candle flame. It does not burn hot or bright. It glows steadily, quietly. Around it, shadows flicker and vanish, but the flame remains unchanged. That flame is your consciousness. No matter how the world moves, it continues to shine. You do not need to protect it. It is eternal. You do not need to strengthen it. It never weakens. Simply notice its warmth. When you breathe, it grows steady. When you are present, it glows. When you let go, it becomes light itself. The lesson of still water. There is an old saying in Zen, when the water is clear, you can see the moon. The moon has always been there. It is the mind that ripples, hiding its reflection. Sound of dripping water in cave. When you stop stirring the surface with thoughts, stillness reveals what has never been lost. You see yourself not as a separate being, but as part of the same moonlight shining through all things. Every wave reflects the same sky. Every being reflects the same awareness. The monk Tao once told his students, "Do not try to calm the ocean, learn to sit at its depth." This is the heart of meditation, not control but surrender. Soft flute returns, playing a single slow melody line. Feel your breath once more, in and out, the body breathing, the world breathing through you. There is no separation. Silence for 5 seconds. You are both the breath and the one who breathes. Both the wave and the ocean, both the cloud and the sky. Awareness breathing awareness. Stillness meeting stillness. Closing of part 1. Soft bell sounds 3 times, long reverberation. This is where we begin, not with effort but with rest. The practice of returning again and again to what has always been here. You have crossed the threshold into stillness. Stay a while. There is nothing to do, only to remember. The sound of rain fades, crickets and distant wind replace it. Music dissolves into silence. Part 1. The quiet beginning, continued. Estimated narration time, remaining 10 to 12 minutes. Soft wind moves through bamboo. Low hum of a temple bowl slowly fades in. When you rest deeply enough, awareness begins to listen for itself. There is no effort now, no trying. The breath breathes, the heart beats, and the watcher simply watches. Thoughts still arise. Small ripples of memory or anticipation, but each fades before it can reach the shore. You begin to sense that everything happening inside you is also happening inside the world. At the mountain of stillness, soft, distant thunder, rain becomes a mist. There is a story told in the high mountains of a monk named Rincho. He meditated beside a cliff for 20 years, waiting for enlightenment to strike like lightning. But every day he only heard wind and birds. One morning a traveler asked, "Master, what have you found in all these years?" Rincho smiled. "Nothing," he said, "and in that nothing I have found everything." The traveler frowned. "I don't understand." "When I stopped waiting for the lightning," said Rincho, "I realized the mountain itself was shining." The traveler bowed. He too had been seeking lightning. Enlightenment is not a strike from above. It is the slow dawning of light from within. The mountain does not chase the sun. It allows the sun to rise. So sit like the mountain, unmoving, silent, patient. The world may storm around you, but beneath the clouds the rock remains steady. You are that steadiness, the art of pausing. Soft chime, wind fades, faint heartbeat like drum appears. Between one breath and the next lies a space so small that most never notice it. Yet in that pause lives eternity. Every action, every word, every thought becomes sacred when touched by pause. The masters say, when walking, walk, when eating, eat, when resting, rest. This is the art of pausing, meeting life one heartbeat at a time. Tonight you can practice this art with the breath. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. 4 simple movements, infinite depth. Feel how the body relaxes in the spaces between. That stillness is not absence. It is the background of all sound. Listening to silence, soft soundscape, night insects, water dripping slowly. True listening is not to sound, but to the silence beneath it. The more deeply you listen, the more the world begins to sing. Try it now. Listen not to these words, but to what holds them. The quiet between syllables, the space that lets meaning exist. The ancients called this space Ma, the sacred gap, the emptiness that completes the form. Without it, music is only noise, speech only chaos, life only motion. In stillness, everything finds its rhythm. The cloud and the moon. A low flute motif repeats softly. A novice once asked his master, "Why do I feel peace only when the sky is clear?" The master replied. Because you mistake the clouds for the sky. The moon shines even behind the storm. The mind is like that. Thoughts may hide awareness, but they cannot destroy it. The moment you stop staring at the clouds, the moonlight reveals itself again. You do not need to wait for the sky to clear. Simply remember that it was never truly dark. The returning breath. Soft bell, rhythmic ocean swell in background. Notice again your breathing. Each inhale is a gentle returning. Each exhale a letting go. The body knows exactly what to do. You have been breathing since before you were born. Even in sleep, the rhythm continues. The universe keeping time through you. Sometimes we forget to trust that rhythm. We try to control life, to hold the breath of existence too tightly. But peace is not found in holding, it is found in release. Let the breath move like a tide. Let the chest rise and fall. Nothing more is required. The circle of awareness. Soft chanting tone fades in, almost imperceptible. Awareness watches breath. Breath moves body, body feels world. World reflects awareness. This is the endless circle. Self-observing self through infinite forms. When you see this clearly, you stop asking where awareness begins or ends. You realize it has no edge, no border, no opposite. It is the quiet unity behind all division. The monk Bankei once said, "The unborn mind is like space, when it holds everything yet clings to nothing." Feel that space now, inside and around you. Boundless, open, infinite. The gift of rest. Rain returns softer than before. Rest is not laziness, rest is reverence. The earth rests each night. Even rivers rest beneath ice, even stars rest in darkness before dawn. You too are part of this rhythm. You have permission to stop, to breathe, to be, to let yourself exist without demand. There is a great healing in simple being. When you rest without guilt, the heart repairs what the mind cannot. Closing of Part 1. A temple bell rings 3 times, echoing long. The beginning of stillness is not found in silence, but in the willingness to listen. You have begun to listen, to the breath, to the body, to the space between thoughts. This is the first gate of the journey inward. From here, we will travel through the heart's deeper valleys, through the second arrow of suffering, through compassion, impermanence, and the quiet joy of enough. But for now, simply rest in this awareness that needs no name. You have already arrived. Your sound of rain fades. Flute plays single closing note. Silence follows for 10 seconds. Part 2. The second arrow. Transforming pain into peace. Estimated. Soft rain continues. Temple bell echoes faintly from afar. A deeper tone joins beneath the flute like a slow heartbeat of the earth. Every life contains pain. No one is spared from its arrival. The sting of loss, the ache of disappointment, the invisible heaviness of worry. In Zen, this is called the first arrow. The unavoidable pains of existence, the simple fact that to live is to feel. A wind brushes lightly against bamboo, a small pause for 6 seconds. But most of our suffering doesn't come from that first arrow. It's second one. The arrow we fire at ourselves when we resist what already is. The first arrow hurts, the second one lingers. The first pierces the body, the second pierces the mind. This is what Zen calls dukkha, the unnecessary struggle we add to what is all. Tonight we will learn to stop firing the second arrow, to meet pain without the story that magnifies it. To let discomfort teach, not define. To discover that peace can exist even in the presence of pain. In the garden of arrows, soft crackle of fire under rain. A young monk named Ren once studied under Master Hakuin. Ren was gifted, disciplined, devoted. But he struggled with anger. When another monk spoke too loudly, he clenched his fists. When someone moved his cushion, he felt a fire rise inside his chest. He longed to be calm, but was constantly at war with himself. One morning, Hakuin asked Ren to help carry buckets of soil. As they walked, the master suddenly stumbled and spilled mud all over Ren's robes. "Master!" Ren shouted. Hakuin only looked at him and asked, What is burning?" "My anger," Ren snapped. Hakuin smiled softly. "Ah, that is your first arrow. Now what do you do next?" Ren stood confused. "If you throw the second arrow," Hakuin continued, "you will spend all day fighting your own fire. Or you can drop the bow now. Ren said nothing. Mud dripped down his robe. He took a slow breath and let the heat fade from his chest. Better, said the master. You have already begun to heal. Flute note sustained softly. That evening, Ren washed his robe beside the river. The moon shimmered on the water, and he realized the mud had already gone downstream. Only his thoughts had kept the stain alive. From that night, whenever anger rose, Ren would whisper to himself, "First arrow," and breathe. Each breath became a way of lowering the bow. The second arrow within, a sound of slow waves against a shore. Think of your own arrows. A friend says something cruel. A memory returns that you wish had stayed buried. Your body aches in a familiar place. The first arrow, the moment itself, lands quickly and passes. But the second one, the one you craft from thought, can last for days, months, even years. Why did they say that? I shouldn't feel this way. If only I were stronger, smarter, better. These are arrows of the mind. Each thought draws the bow tighter. Each judgment keeps the wound open. Yet all along, the truth waits quietly beneath. Pain is just sensation. It does not need a story. Imagine holding a burning coal. You feel the heat, but you refuse to drop it because you think letting go means losing control. Zen teaches release is not defeat, it is intelligence. Pain will visit, that is life. But suffering, that long echo of pain, is optional. The river and the reflection, soft wind shifts, sound of running water grows clearer. There was once a woman named Aiko who came to her teacher weeping. "I cannot find peace," she said. "My mind is a storm. Each time I try to meditate, old sorrows rise like ghosts." Her teacher, old Shundo, brought her to a still pond. They sat quietly as leaves floated past. "You look into the water," he said. "What do you see?" "In my reflection," said Aiko. Shundo picked up a stick and stirred the surface. Ripples scattered her reflection into a blur. "Now can you see yourself?" "No," said Aiko. "Then wait." After a few minutes, the water became calm again. "There," said Shundo. "The reflection returns." Aiko understood. Her suffering came not from what appeared, but from her constant stirring of the water. She bowed and whispered, "I will stop chasing peace. I will let it settle." The master smiled. "Peace is not something you find, Aiko. It is what finds you when you stop disturbing the pond." The practice of allowing. Soft rain continues, temple bell once long resonance. The next time pain arises, a memory, a loss, a tightening in the chest, do not rush to fix it. Instead, whisper gently, "First arrow." Let the body feel the ache without the story. Notice how sensations change, how even pain has movement, warmth, pressure, pulse. This is the beginning of wisdom, learning that every experience is already in motion. Pain is not permanent. Resistance tries to make it so. Allowing is not passivity. It is the courage to face reality as it is. Zen practice does not erase discomfort. It removes the unnecessary struggle around it. The first arrow reminds you that you are human. The second arrow invites you to remember you are awareness itself. Pain is a teacher. Fire crackles, rain turns lighter. There is another story of a farmer who once complained to his master. "Every season brings new suffering, floods, drought, illness. It never ends." The master pointed to the ground. "What do you plant in your fields?" "Rice, of course," said the farmer. "And when the floods come, they wash the soil away. Do you abandon the field then?" "No," said the farmer. "I plant again." "Exactly," said the master. Pain is the flood. Practice is the planting. The field is your heart. Pain comes to clear the ground. It loosens the soil for deeper roots. Without rain, there is no harvest. In this way, even sorrow becomes sacred. Soft flute melody begins anew, slow, hopeful. When we stop treating pain as punishment, we begin to see it as invitation. Each ache says, "Here, look deeper." Each tear says, "Something in you is ready to be cleansed." And through that cleansing, compassion grows. First for yourself, then for all who suffer. Because the truth is, everyone you meet is carrying their own invisible arrows. When you know your own pain fully, you stop adding arrows to others. Part 2. The second arrow. Transforming pain into peace. Continued. Estimated narration time remaining 10 to 12 minutes. Soft rain fades to a gentle mist. A temple bell hums low and steady beneath the sound of distant thunder. Every time you breathe with awareness, you remove another arrow. Every time you pause before reacting, you set down the bow. This is the slow practice of healing, not a miracle but a remembering. For underneath your wounds there is stillness. Underneath your anger there is care. Underneath every sorrow there is the longing to be free. Pain, when met fully, becomes the very path that releases it. The teacher of pain. Soft wind moves through cedar leaves. Once a student named Taizen came to his master, trembling. "I want to awaken," he said, "but pain keeps pulling me back into the body. How can I rise above it?" The master, Ryuke, handed him a stone. "Hold this." Taizen did. The stone was rough, heavy, cold. "Now drop it," said Ryuke. Taizen let it fall. "Did you need to rise above it?" asked the master. "No." "What did you do?" "I just let it go." Ryuke smiled. "Then do the same with your pain." Taizen frowned. "But the stone was outside me." "Is it?" said the master. "The stone is made of the same earth as your body. What is inside, what is outside, no, they are not two. When you release one, you release both. The wind subsides, flute plays a single low tone. Pain, too, is made of the same elements: energy, heat, vibration, movement. To let go is not to push it away, but to stop claiming it as mine. When you stop identifying with the pain, it loses its claws. The experience may continue for a while, but the suffering, the story about it, ends. The mirror of awareness. Soft, spacious hum in the background, like breath itself. Imagine standing before a clear mirror. The mirror reflects light and shadow, joy and sorrow, without preference. No matter what appears, the surface remains pure. This is your mind in its true nature, unstained by what it reflects. When anger arises, awareness simply reflects anger. When peace arises, awareness reflects peace. The reflections change. The mirror does not. Even if you forget the mirror for a time, it does not vanish. When you remember to look again, it has been waiting, silently all along. Zen teachers call this your original face, the awareness that existed before you learned the word me. Aiko's return. Sound of flowing water returns, calm and rhythmic. Weeks after her lesson by the pond, Aiko returned to old Shundo with a smile. "Master," she said, "the pond still ripples sometimes, but I no longer fear the reflection." Shundo poured her tea. "What do you see in the cup?" "The surface moves, but the tea itself is clear." Good," said Shundo. "Then your mind is learning to drink itself." Aiko laughed, a sound like wind in leaves. For the first time, she realized she didn't need her life to be perfect to feel at peace. Even when pain visited, it passed through her like rain through bamboo. Forgiving the past. Soft fire crackling, faint storm outside. To stop firing the second arrow, you must also forgive the one who fired the first. Sometimes that person is another, sometimes it is yourself. You cannot change what was done, but you can end the story that keeps it alive. The past is not a prison. It is a shadow cast by the light of now. When you turn toward the present, the shadow fades. So when memory arises, bow to it gently. Whisper, "Thank you for teaching me how to see," and then breathe it out. Each breath is a release from history. Each breath is a return to innocence. The space around pain. A temple bell. Single low tone. Bring your attention now to any discomfort in your body. A tightness, a pressure, a restless pulse. Rather than shrinking from it, surround it with awareness. Feel how the sensation lives inside space. Pain is never solid. It flickers, it breathes, it moves. When you expand awareness around it, the edges blur. The pain becomes less a wound and more a wave within the sea. This is compassion in practice, allowing even discomfort to belong. In that belonging, pain transforms. What once felt sharp becomes soft. What once felt personal becomes universal. You begin to feel the world's pain, not as a burden but as connection. The rain of understanding. Soft rain returns, steady and soothing. The rain does not choose where to fall. It blesses mountain and field alike. Compassion is like that. It does not discriminate between those who deserve it and those who don't. When you learn to hold your own pain gently, you naturally hold others' pain the same way. This is how peace spreads, one breath of understanding at a time. The Buddha said, hatred never ends through hatred. Only love can end it. This is an unchanging law. Love here does not mean approval. It means freedom from revenge. It means refusing to add another arrow to the sky. Or the sound of healing. A flute melody softens into a slow repetition. Low drum heartbeat returns. Now listen. Beneath the music, beneath the rain, there is a deeper silence. That silence is not empty, it is alive. It is the hum of the universe. The vibration that carries every joy and sorrow without resistance. Let your own breath join that hum. Inhale softly. Exhale completely. Feel the warmth spreading from the heart outward. This is compassion, not a feeling but a state of openness. You do not need to force it. You only need to stop closing. Closing of part 2. A temple bell rings 3 times, long resonance fading into night insects. Pain may still come. The world will not always be kind, but you are no longer its prisoner. You have learned to see pain as movement and movement as life. You cannot stop the first arrow, but you can lower the bow. And when you do, you discover a strange, gentle truth. Even suffering, when held in awareness, becomes another form of love. The rain softens, the wind rests. Silence blooms like a flower at night. Stay here a while longer, the numb breathing, resting alive. Flute plays final note. Soft rain continues for a few breaths, then fades completely. Part 3. Impermanence. Learning from change and difficulty. Estimated narration time 20 minutes total. This segment 10 to 12 minutes. Soft flute resumes with a gentle motif. Rain has faded, only the faint sound of wind remains. A single bell chimes slowly, then silence. Change is the nature of everything. Nothing stays still for long. The mountain crumbles grain by grain. The flower wilts after blooming. The wave rises only to fall back into the sea. We suffer, not because things change, but because we expect them not to. Zen calls this clinging. Our attempt to hold the river in our hands. But the river was never meant to be captured. It was meant to be followed. There the garden and the vines. The sound of distant cicadas, gentle stream nearby. In a small village by the sea lived a gardener named Kuji. Every morning he tended his flowers, orchids, lilies, wild irises. He watered them, spoke to them, and kept his garden in perfect order. One night, a storm came. Rain fell in heavy sheets, wind tore through the yard. When morning returned, wild vines had crawled in from the forest, wrapping themselves around every fragile stem. Kuji stared in disbelief. Weeks of care undone in a single night. He pulled the vines angrily, muttering curses under his breath. But they only grew back stronger. That evening, an old monk named Su passed by. He watched the gardener's frustration quietly. "You seem tired," said Su. "I worked hard for this beauty," said Kuji. "And nature destroyed it in a single storm." The monk smiled. "Nature also created it in a single spring." "Then why destroy it?" asked Kuji bitterly. "Perhaps to show you which flowers could endure the wind," said Su. Kuji frowned but said nothing. Over time, he noticed that the plants which survived the storm had deeper roots and stronger stems. They were less fragile than the ones he had cherished most. Slowly, he began to see the lesson. "The vines are not my enemy," he told Su later. "They are my teachers." Su nodded. "Every storm is a teacher when you are willing to listen." The wind softens, sound of chime fades in. From that day on, Kuji stopped fighting change. He let the garden grow in its own way, wild, alive, untamed. And somehow it became more beautiful than before. He no longer tried to make nature obey. He began to collaborate with it. That is the wisdom of impermanence. To stop seeing loss as destruction and start seeing it as transformation. The fire and the merchant. Sound of crackling fire and low wind. In another town lived a merchant named Taro. For 20 years he built his business, filling his store with silk and fine goods. One night a fire swept through the market. By dawn all that remained was ash. Taro sat in the street broken. "Oh, why?" he asked the sky. "I worked so hard, I was honest, I hurt no one. How could this happen?" A monk named Dogen approached. He listened, then said softly, You are carrying two burdens, the loss itself and your belief that it should not have happened. Taro looked up. Should I simply accept it? Acceptance, said the monk, does not mean liking it. It means seeing clearly that it is. Only from truth can new life begin. The merchant wept. But I have lost everything. Not everything, said Dogen. Look. The sun was rising. Birds were already singing in the ruins. The world continues, said the monk, and so can you. That day, something shifted in Taro's heart. He realized that what burned was only what could be burned. What remained, an awareness, breath, the will to begin again, was indestructible. In time, he rebuilt his life. His shop was smaller, but his peace was greater. When asked what he learned from the fire, he said, "The flames took my wealth, but gave me freedom from fear." The lesson of the bowl. Soft clinking sound, echo of distant chanting. At a monastery near Kyoto, a young monk named Ichiro received a bowl from his teacher, Ikkyu. It was handmade, simple, and slightly uneven. A symbol of humility and practice. Ichiro treasured it. Each evening he washed it carefully, placing it on his shelf like a relic. One morning, while carrying it across the courtyard, his sandals slipped. The bowl fell and shattered on the stones. Ichiro froze, his heart pounding. "Master," he cried, "I broke your gift." Ikkyu approached, looked at the pieces, and smiled. "No, Ichiro," he said. "You didn't break it. It was already broken from the moment I gave it to you." The young monk looked puzzled. "Everything that comes into being," said Ikkyu, "is already on its way to returning. This bowl, this body, this day, all are temporary forms of the same formless life." He bent down and picked up a fragment. "If you understand this," he said, "you will love more, not less, because you will see how precious each moment is before it passes." Ichiro bowed deeply, tears in his eyes. He placed the fragments on his altar, not as a loss, but as a reminder. Years later, he would tell his own students, "The broken bowl still serves me every day. It teaches me how to hold gently and how to let go." Embracing the changing world, soft flute melody begins anew, serene and spacious. Impermanence is not a threat, it is the pulse of life itself. Because things end, they shine. Because moments fade, they matter. Imagine if the sunset never ended. Would we still call it beautiful? We love precisely because we know we cannot hold forever. Zen practice is learning to bow before every ending, to say thank you even as the door closes, for what is gone has already served its purpose, to remind us of the miracle of being here at all. Sound, soft rain begins again, steady rhythm. Take a breath. Feel the rise and fall, the inhale, the exhale. Each breath is a small birth and death. The exhale is not a failure of the inhale, it is its completion. Life is a dance of appearing and disappearing, holding and releasing, meeting and parting. This is impermanence, not to be feared, but to be lived. Part 3. Impermanence. Learning from change and difficulty. Continued. Estimated narration time remaining 10 to 12 minutes. See, soft rain continues mixed with low wind. A single chime rings, then fades into the rhythm of breathing. Every breath reminds us to hold gently, to release completely. Nothing we love can stay unchanged, yet nothing we love is ever truly lost. What leaves becomes part of what remains. The leaf that falls feeds the soil. The wave that disappears becomes the sea again. Change is not destruction. It is continuation by another name. The farmer and the river. Sound of moving water, birds in distance. A farmer once came to his teacher and asked, "Master, how can I enjoy life when everything I love will vanish?" The teacher took him to a nearby river. "Watch closely," he said. The farmer saw water flowing endlessly, sparkling, shimmering, disappearing around the bend. "Hey, do you see how it flows?" said the master. "Each drop passes quickly, and yet the river never stops. So too with your life. You are not the same person who woke this morning, yet you still call yourself me." The farmer frowned. "Then who am I?" The master smiled. "You are the river itself, the movement, not the form." The farmer watched the water for a long time. Then slowly he began to smile. "If I am the river," he said, "then nothing is ever truly lost. It only flows on." The master nodded. "Now go home and flow." The bridge in the wind. Wind rises, gentle rustling of leaves. Change can frighten us because it feels like losing control. But the truth is we never had control, only the illusion of it. There was once a woman who crossed a wooden bridge each day to reach her village market. Over the years, she grew so used to its sound, the creak of planks, the whistling wind through gaps, that she found it comforting. One day, a great storm washed the bridge away. For weeks, she couldn't cross the river. She felt lost, cut off from her old life. When the waters finally receded, she found a new path through the forest. It was longer, slower, but filled with beauty. Birds she had never heard, scents she had never known. As she walked, she realized she did not miss the old bridge anymore. The wind was still singing, only through different trees. The world is always building bridges, she thought. It just doesn't reuse the same wood. That day she understood. What we call endings are only invitations to travel differently, learning to rest in change. Soft percussion of rain returns, heartbeat tempo. To rest in impermanence is to trust the movement of life. It does not mean we stop caring, but that we stop clinging. The seasons change, yet the cycle continues. What dies in winter nourishes the spring. The Zen masters say, the falling leaf is Buddha speaking, because in its silent descent it reminds us to surrender with grace. Each of us is a leaf in the great tree of life, fed by the same roots, returning to the same ground. When your time comes to fall, may you fall like the leaf, dancing, not fearing. The taste of the moment. Flute plays a light ascending pattern like dawn. The poet Isa once wrote, "The world of dew is the world of dew, and yet, even when we accept impermanence, the heart still aches a little. That ache is love itself. It is proof that you were awake enough to care. The wise do not numb this ache. They sip it slowly like tea, bitter, sweet, alive." You can practice this now. Think of something transient. A sunset, a song, a laugh that has already faded. Feel the tenderness that comes with remembering. That tenderness is awareness. To feel it fully is to honor what was. Grief in its purest form is love refusing to die. Let it move through you like rain through branches. The sculptor and the stone. Soft scraping sound, rhythmic like carving. A sculptor once told his apprentice, "Each statue I carve already exists within the stone. My task is only to remove what hides it." The apprentice asked, "Does it not sadden you to destroy so much of the stone?" The sculptor smiled, "I do not destroy, I reveal. Every strike of the chisel frees something that was trapped. Life, too, carves us this way. Each loss, each change, each challenge removes what no longer serves, revealing the shape hidden beneath. When you feel life chiseling away at you, do not resist. The statue has always been waiting inside. The gift of impermanence. Rain eases, distant thunder fades, flute slows. Impermanence gives life its texture, its urgency, its sweetness. Without endings, beginnings lose meaning. Without death, life would have no shape. Knowing this, we stop wasting time waiting for perfect conditions. We live now. We say thank you now. We love now. We forgive now. Because we see that the present is the only thing that has ever existed. Everything else is memory and imagination, the mind's echo of time. But this breath, this sound, this heartbeat is real. In closing of part 3, soft bell rings 3 times, each fading longer than the last. Change will continue. That is its promise. You cannot stop the river. You can only learn to float. Tonight you have seen that even loss contains light. The broken bowl still teaches, the fire still warms, the garden still grows. Impermanence is not against you, it is guiding you. Every ending is an act of grace. Let the current carry you now. No resistance, no fear, just flow. Flute and wind merge softly. Sound fades into pure silence for 8 seconds. Part 4. The compassion that frees the heart. Estimated narration time 20 minutes total. This segment 10 to 12 minutes. Soft flute melody returns. Gentle rain continues, lighter than before. A single temple bell echoes, fading into silence. Compassion is the quiet power that melts the hardness of the heart. It is not pity. It is not weakness. It is the natural fragrance of understanding. When we truly see another, their fears, their wounds, their hidden longings, Judgment disappears and love uninvited enters like dawn light through an open window. Short pause, 6 seconds. In Zen, compassion is called karuna. It means to tremble with, to let the heart move with another's pain, not away from it. Tonight we will sit with this trembling not as sorrow but as life itself moving through us. The shopkeeper's lesson. Soft wooden wind chime sound. Distant marketplace noise fades in and out like memory. In a small village by the sea there lived a woman named Masako, a shopkeeper whose honesty was known to all. Her days were peaceful until a new merchant arrived, a man named Hideo, clever, charming, but unkind. He spread rumors that Masako cheated her customers. Slowly, people stopped visiting her shop. Each night she lay awake imagining how to prove her innocence. But the more she thought, the heavier her chest became. One afternoon, a traveling monk named Ryoan stopped by. Seeing her weary face, he asked, "Why do you look so burdened, friend?" Masako told him everything, the lies, the loss, the endless bitterness. Ryoan listened quietly. Then he poured her a cup of water. "Drink," he said. She drank. "Now hold the cup." Minutes passed. Her arm began to ache. "Why does it hurt?" asked the monk. "Because I've been holding it too long." "Exactly," he said. "You can't stop Hideo's lies, but you can stop holding them." Masako understood. That night she whispered to herself, "Let go." Each time the anger returned, she said it again. Slowly, the ache inside her eased. Months later, her customers began to return, drawn not by proof of her innocence, but by the warmth in her eyes. Her peace became her reputation. Soft flute tone sustains briefly. When you let go of hatred, the world notices. Forgiveness is not about others deserving it. It is about freeing yourself from carrying the poison. The angry monk. Rain grows softer, low hum of temple hall. There was once a monk named Kai, fiery in speech and impatient in practice. He often scolded the younger monks, believing strictness would bring discipline. The abbot, Master Hakuin, watched him with calm amusement. One day, Kai shouted at a novice for spilling tea. The boy left in tears. That evening, the master called Kai to his room. "Tell me," he said, "what burns more, your anger or your shame?" Kai lowered his eyes. "Both, master." Hakuin nodded. "Then see that they are the same flame." Kai frowned. "Anger," said Hakuin, "is the outer fire of an inner wound. You wish the world to behave so your pain can stay hidden." "So what should I do?" asked Kai. "Stop trying to burn others to keep yourself warm." Kai bowed. He began to notice how his anger always came from fear. Fear of being wrong, of being small, of being unseen. When he learned to meet that fear with compassion, the fire turned into light. In time, he became known not for anger, but for patience. When novices argued, he would smile and say, "Ah, I know that fire. Sit with it. Don't feed it." Soft chime. Pause for 4 seconds. Compassion begins where blame ends. When you look beneath someone's anger, you always find pain. The healer and the patient. Sound of gentle ocean breeze, faint heartbeat drum. In another village lived a healer named Yuki. Her hands were steady, her heart kind. But one patient tested her patience. A man named Noru who complained about everything. He arrived late, argued about her fee, and left in anger more than once. Yuki dreaded his visits. His name on her schedule made her tense. One day, after he stormed out again, she vented to an old friend named Chiyo who practiced Zen. "I treat him with care, but he is impossible," said Yuki. Chiyo smiled. "Do you know his story?" "No," Yuki replied. "I prefer not to." "Then you treat his behavior, not his suffering," said Chiyo. The next week, when Noru arrived, Yuki tried something different. She asked about his life. At first he resisted, then slowly his voice cracked. His wife had died months earlier. His children had stopped visiting. "I come here," he said softly, "not because of pain in my body, but because someone finally talks to me." Yuki's eyes filled with tears. She realized his anger was only loneliness wearing armor. From that day, she treated him with both firmness and tenderness. She still set boundaries, but her heart stayed open. Over time, Noru softened. He stopped shouting. Once he even brought her a small shell from the beach, saying, "For your kindness." Yuki kept it on her table, a reminder that behind every harsh word there is usually a silent plea for love. Soft rain resumes. A single bamboo flute note rises like breath. To love does not mean to agree. To forgive does not mean to forget. It means to see the whole picture, the light and the shadow, and to choose understanding over judgment. When we see others as mirrors of ourselves, compassion becomes effortless. Their flaws reflect our own. Their struggles echo our hidden fears. And suddenly we realize we are all just learning, each in our own imperfect way. Part 4. The Compassion That Frees the Heart. Continued. Estimated narration time. Remaining 10-12 minutes. Soft wind through cedar trees. Flute returns in a low, warm register. Rain fades to an occasional drip. Compassion deepens as understanding ripens. The more clearly you see, the less room there is for hatred. It is easy to love the gentle. The practice is to love the broken. The Monk and the Thief. Temple bell sounds once, distant footsteps on gravel. One night a thief entered a small Zen hut. Inside sat Master Ryokan, meditating beneath a paper lantern. Seeing he had nothing to steal, the thief turned to leave. "Wait," said Ryokan, "don't go empty-handed." He removed his worn robe and handed it to the startled man. "Here, take this, it will keep you warm." The thief ran away into the dark. Later that night, Ryokan looked up at the moon and whispered, "Poor fellow. I wish I could give him this beautiful moon too." He felt no anger, no loss, only tenderness for a man who believed stealing could fill his emptiness. That is compassion, seeing ignorance as suffering, not evil. The practice of seeing. Soft bamboo chime. Every person you meet today is carrying a story you cannot see. The angry one may be frightened. The silent one may be grieving. The proud one may feel small. When you remember this, the heart naturally softens. You stop reacting to behavior and start responding to pain. Try this. When someone irritates you, pause and breathe once for them. Inhale, recognize their struggle. Exhale, wish them peace. This single breath is a seed of awakening, the weight we carry. Low hum like distant thunder softening. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one inside you. The mind replays old scenes, mistakes, failures, harsh words. We carry them as proof that we are unworthy. But awareness sees differently. It knows that guilt cannot undo the past. It can only cloud the present. When you forgive yourself, you return the energy that remorse has been holding hostage. Whisper now quietly, "I release myself. I am allowed to begin again." Feel the breath move through your chest like wind clearing smoke. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is remembering without the knife. Masako's return. Soft rain resumes, distant market sounds fade in. Months after her shop was restored, Masako visited the temple where she had met monk Ryoan. She brought him a small gift, a jar of tea leaves. "You taught me to put down the cup," she said. "Now I offer you one filled again." Ryoan smiled. Tea tastes best when the hands that serve it are light. They sat together in silence, watching steam rise and disappear. "Does the steam die?" Ryoan asked. Masako shook her head. "No, master, it only changes form." Ryoan bowed. "Then you have understood compassion." She left the temple lighter than when she had arrived, her steps almost soundless on the wet path, widening the heart. Flute and bell harmonize softly. Compassion begins close, but it does not stay small. It moves outward, to strangers, to animals, to the trembling earth itself. The more we open, the more we sense that there is no other. The pain of the world is our pain. The joy of the world is our joy. Zen calls this the boundless heart, Maha Karuna. It asks nothing heroic, only 1,000 quiet acts of gentleness. A patient word, a listening ear, a moment of restraint. Each small mercy changes the shape of the world. Compassion and boundaries. Soft percussion of rain returns, steady rhythm. To be compassionate does not mean to be unguarded. Even the Buddha set limits, a line between wisdom and enabling harm. True kindness includes clarity. You can say no with love. You can walk away without hate. Compassion without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Boundaries without compassion become walls. The middle path is tender firmness, rooted like bamboo, bending but unbroken. Practice of loving kindness. A temple bell, rhythmic flute. Close your eyes. Bring to mind someone you love easily. Picture them smiling. Whisper softly, "May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you live with ease." Feel warmth spread through your chest. Now think of someone neutral, a passerby, a stranger. Offer them the same wish. Finally, think of someone difficult. Notice the resistance. Let it soften. Whisper, "May you be free from the causes of suffering. May you remember your own goodness." There is no need to force feeling. The sincerity of the wish is enough. As you breathe, imagine these blessings radiating outward like ripples on still water, expanding beyond you, beyond this room, touching all beings. Closing of Part 4. Soft bell rings 3 times, flute fades to silence. Compassion is not a skill to learn. It is the natural state revealed when fear dissolves. You have tasted its sweetness tonight, in forgiveness, in understanding, in the gentle wish for peace. Carry it with you like a lantern in the dark. Its flame is small but endless, and wherever you walk, even the coldest hearts will feel a little warmth again. Sound, light rain, single flute note, long fade, silence for 8 seconds. Part 5. Holding life lightly and seeing with beginner's mind. Estimated narration time 20 minutes total, this segment 10-12 minutes. Soft morning wind through bamboo leaves, bird song filters through faint temple bells. A gentle flute melody rises like dawn. When the heart softens through compassion, the next step is lightness. A way of moving through the world without clinging or fear. To hold life lightly is to dance with it, not to own it. Zen calls this non-attachment. But that phrase is often misunderstood. It doesn't mean coldness or indifference. It means loving so freely that nothing needs to be held tight. Love becomes like water, flowing, refreshing, touching everything without becoming trapped by anything. The potter's laugh. Sound of pottery wheels spinning softly, light tapping rhythm. There once lived a potter named Fumiko, whose hands were known for perfect balance. Every bowl she made was smooth and symmetrical, each one a quiet song of form. One evening she finished her most exquisite piece, a deep blue bowl that reflected the sky. She placed it on a high shelf to dry, proud and content. Moments later, her young nephew ran through the studio chasing a wooden ball. The shelf rattled, the bowl fell. It shattered across the floor. The child froze in terror. Fumiko's breath caught. Anger rose, grief followed. Then, seeing the boy's trembling hands, she exhaled and laughed, a clear, bright sound that filled the room. "It's only clay," she said softly. "The earth has come home." Her sister, who had seen the accident, gasped. "You aren't upset?" Fumiko smiled. Perfection was never the goal. Life leaves fingerprints. Art should too. From that day, her work changed. She began leaving small flaws. A thumbprint here, a ripple there. Her pottery breathed. Collectors later said her bowls felt alive. When asked what changed, she replied, "I stopped fearing the fall." Soft flute notes linger, pause for 6 seconds. When you no longer fear breaking, life can finally touch you. The overflowing cup. Sound of pouring tea, gentle bubbling of kettle. A scholar named Jiro traveled across Japan to study with the great Zen master Nansen. He spoke endlessly about his knowledge, scriptures, philosophies, logic. Nansen poured tea as he listened. The scholar kept talking. The tea rose to the rim, then overflowed onto the table, onto Jiro's robes. "Stop!" shouted Jiro. "The cup is full." Nansen set the pot down. "Like this cup," he said, "your mind is full of your own opinions. How can I pour anything in unless you first empty it?" Jiro fell silent. For the first time, he understood that wisdom is not the collection of knowledge, but the space for it. Over the following months, he practiced listening, not explaining, watching, not labeling. And one morning, while sweeping leaves, a single sound, a pebble striking bamboo, stopped his mind completely. The world became still. No self, no teacher, no student, only presence. Later, Jiro said, "For years I studied the reflection of the moon in water, and finally I looked up and saw the real moon, the farmer's eyes." Sound of breeze through grass fields, crickets. There was a farmer named Haruto who had tilled the same field for 30 years. To him, every season looked the same. One morning his young daughter ran to him shouting, "Father, come see the blue flowers by the wall." He nearly dismissed her. "Yes, I've seen them before," but something in her excitement made him pause. He followed her, and there, in the early light, tiny blue blossoms shimmered with dew. He realized he had walked past them every spring, yet never truly seen them. That morning changed him. He began to look at his land with new eyes. At the play of shadows on the hills, at the way the wind bent the grain, at the chorus of insects that sang at dusk. His work did not change, but his heart did. He later said, "The field did not grow old, it was my seeing that had aged." From then on, he called every sunrise the first. The joy of imperfection, soft tapping of rain on paper roof. Zen calls the beauty of imperfection wabi-sabi, the art of finding grace in the unfinished, the transient, the incomplete. The cracked bowl, the weathered wood, the aging hand, all carry stories. Perfection hides life's texture. Imperfection reveals it. When you stop demanding that life be flawless, gratitude returns. The stain becomes memory. The scar becomes proof of healing. To hold life lightly is to trust its movement. To see with beginner's mind is to meet each moment without yesterday's dust on your eyes. Together they form a way of living that is both humble and free. Practice beginner's mind. Temple bell sounds softly, wind stills. Sit quietly now. Let go of everything you think you know. Imagine you have just arrived in this world. First breath, first sound, first touch of air on skin. Look around the room as though for the first time. Notice shapes, colors, shadows, not naming them, only seeing. Hear the faint sounds in the distance, the whisper of your own breathing, the hum of the world around you. Feel how rich this moment is when the mind is empty. In Zen, they call this Shoshin, beginner's mind. It is the opposite of boredom. It is wonder reborn. With beginner's mind, every ordinary thing becomes sacred again. Part 5. Holding life lightly and seeing with beginner's mind, continued. Estimated narration time, remaining 10 to 12 minutes. Soft rain outside a paper window. A flute plays a single slow melody that sounds like breathing. To see with beginner's mind is to meet the world without armor. The child touches a stone and calls it a miracle. The sage touches the same stone and calls it the same. Wisdom is not different from innocence. It is innocence that has stopped pretending to know. The traveler and the gate. The footsteps on gravel, wind passing through a wooden gate. A man wandered the country in search of enlightenment. For years he visited temples and teachers, collecting sayings like stones. One evening, exhausted and hungry, he sat beside an old gate. An elderly gardener approached and offered him rice and tea. They ate in silence. The traveler asked, "Do you know where I can find the truth?" The gardener smiled. "You just ate it." The traveler blinked. "The truth?" "Yes," said the gardener. "The taste of rice when you are truly hungry." In that moment, the traveler understood. The truth was never hiding in temples. It was waiting in his own mouth. Beginner's mind tastes life directly, but without adding ideas about it. The freedom of not knowing. Soft breeze through bamboo. Zen master Shunryu Suzuki said, "In the beginner's mind there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind there are few. When you release the need to be certain, you become curious again. You start to notice how each moment is fresh, how no breath has ever been this breath before. The mind that knows is closed. The mind that wonders is open. Try wondering tonight. What is this sound? What is this breath? What is this self that hears them both? Do not answer, just listen." The butterfly in the cage. Light flute fluttering melody. A boy once caught a butterfly and placed it in a jar. He loved it so much he wanted to keep it safe. But the next morning the butterfly was still, its wings folded. The boy wept and ran to his teacher. The teacher said, "You loved it too tightly. Love needs air." The boy asked, "Then how do I keep what I love?" "You don't," the teacher said. "You learn to fly with it." To hold life lightly is to let beauty come and go without closing your hand. Love like the sky loves birds, by giving them room to fly. The artist and the line. Scratch of brush on paper. A student of calligraphy once asked his master, "Why do my lines always look tense?" The master handed him a cup of tea. "You tried to control the line," he said. "The brush does not need control. It needs trust. The student practiced for years. One day he stopped thinking and let his arm move freely. The line flowed like water. The master smiled. Now you are writing yourself. To live is to draw the line once, without erasing. There are no mistakes in Zen art, only the next stroke. Each moment is a stroke on the canvas of being. Let it flow, learning to laugh again. A gentle laughter in the distance like children playing. Beginner's mind knows how to laugh. The world is too serious only when you believe you control it. Watch a child playing in the rain. No fear of getting wet, no embarrassment about mud. The child does not divide the world into sacred and ordinary. To them, everything is holy because everything is alive. When you remember how to laugh at your own mistakes, the burden of perfection melts. Laughter is a small enlightenment, ego momentarily forgotten. You cannot laugh and cling at the same time. The breath of newness. Soft bell tones, wind through pine branches. Close your eyes again. Breathe in slowly through the nose. Feel the air enter as though for the first time. Notice its coolness, its texture, its gift. Exhale gently, as if you are teaching the world how to let go. Each breath is a rebirth, each moment a beginning. Let this breath be a promise to yourself. Never to assume you have already seen all there is to see. The world is new again each time you open your eyes without labels. Closing of part 5. A flute and bell together in a slow melody, then silence for 8 seconds. To hold life lightly is to trust it. To see with beginner's mind is to fall in love with it again and again. You do not need to own what you love. You only need to notice it fully while it passes. Every step can be the first step. Every breath the first breath. Every sunrise the first light of the world. And when you wake tomorrow, may you wake as the beginner once more. Empty. Curious. Alive. Part 6. The simplicity of enough. Estimated narration time 20 minutes total. This segment 10-12 minutes. A sound of gentle evening wind moving through reeds. A low, warm flute note lingers, joined by the hush of distant waves. Peace grows where wanting ends. In the stillness beyond desire, the heart finally whispers, enough. Zen calls this santoku, contentment born of awareness. You cannot buy this peace. You can only notice that it was here before the wanting began. When the mind stops grasping, the world reveals its quiet generosity. The hermit and the sunset. Soft crackle of fire in a mountain hut. High in the hills lived a hermit named Ryoan. His home was a single room with a clay pot, a straw mat, and a teacup with no handle. Yet those who climbed to visit him found him smiling as if he owned the sky. One evening, a wealthy merchant came, weary from travel. "Master," he said, "I have everything in gold, servants, silks, but I feel no peace. What am I missing?" Ryoan poured him tea into the chipped cup and pointed to the horizon. The sun was setting, the sky awash with gold and crimson. "Do you see that?" asked Ryoan. The merchant nodded. "Yes, it's beautiful." "That beauty is free," said the hermit. "You need only to look up to receive it." The merchant frowned. "But beauty cannot feed you." Ryoan smiled. "And gold cannot feed the soul. The more you chase, the hungrier you become." They sat in silence until the last light faded. The merchant whispered, "Perhaps I have been rich in the wrong way." "Now you are learning poverty," said Ryoan, "which is the first step to true wealth." The kitchen monk. The sound of chopping vegetables, kettle steaming softly. At a monastery in the north, a young monk named Hayato was given kitchen duty. He envied those who meditated in the great hall, believing their work holier than his. Day after day he chopped and scrubbed, dreaming of enlightenment somewhere beyond the stove. One morning his teacher, Master Bankei, entered quietly. "Hayato," he asked, "are you awake when you chop vegetables?" "Of course, master, I'm working, aren't I?" Bankei smiled. "No, your hands work, but your mind is elsewhere." He lifted the lid of the pot. Steam rose in fragrant waves. "Listen," said Bankei. "Can you hear the Dharma in the boiling water?" Hayato frowned. "It's only steam." "Then keep listening." Days later, while stirring rice, Hayato felt the bubbling match his own breath. Slow, steady, eternal. In that moment he understood. Enlightenment was not found in the meditation hall, but in the stirring itself. When he told Bankei, the master laughed. "The rice has been teaching you all along." From then on, Hayato called the kitchen his temple. The way of tea. The sound of pouring water. Light clink of ceramic cups. The tea master Rikyu was once asked, "What is the essence of the way of tea?" He replied, "Boil water, make tea. Drink it with attention, that is all." The nobleman who asked was disappointed. "Surely there must be more." Rikyu smiled. "If you cannot find truth in boiling water, you will not find it even in the stars." In his tea room, every gesture was sacred. The folding of cloth, the pouring of water, the steam rising into air. For Rikyu, simplicity was not lack, it was the highest refinement. He said, "The heart of tea is the heart that bows to this moment, nothing added, nothing removed." The beauty of less. A wind softens distant bell. The mind believes happiness hides in more wealth, more praise, more certainty. But the heart, when quiet, knows joy hides in less. Less noise, less clutter, less pretending. You do not lose yourself by having less. You find yourself by needing less. The simplest meal, eaten with presence, tastes richer than a feast eaten in haste. The smallest home entered with gratitude feels larger than any palace of longing. Enough is not a number. It is a relationship with life. It is the moment you stop measuring and start noticing. Part 6. The simplicity of enough. Continued. Estimated narration time, remaining 10-12 minutes. Soft evening rain. Gentle flute plays in the background. A single bell sounds, then fades into silence. When the heart whispers enough, the world grows wide again. Gratitude opens the eyes that desire had closed. Look around you. The air you breathe, the light on your hands, the quiet presence of this very moment. These are treasures. Contentment begins when you finally see that life has never withheld anything from you. The Fisherman and the King. Sound of waves, seagulls far away. One morning a king rode along the shore and saw a fisherman resting beside his small boat, singing to himself. "Why aren't you fishing?" asked the king. "Because I have already caught enough for the day," said the fisherman. "If you fished more," said the king, "you could buy a bigger boat, hire men, build an empire." "And what would I do then?" asked the fisherman. "You could retire early," said the king, "and rest by the sea without worry." The fisherman smiled. "But, your majesty, I am resting by the sea without worry now." The king paused, then laughed quietly. The fisherman's simple joy was the wealth the king had been chasing his whole life. Some wisdom can only be seen from the shore, not the throne. The music of enough. Hear your soft string instrument playing slowly, tenderly. There is a moment in every song when the last note is struck and silence completes the melody. Without the silence, the music would never end. Enough is like that, the rest note in the music of life. When you stop before excess, beauty has space to breathe. To eat until satisfied, to speak until truth is clear, to work until joy remains. This is art. The heart knows when the song is finished. Trust it. The Monk and the Pebble. Sound of footsteps on gravel path. A young monk once asked his teacher, "How can I be happy with so little?" The teacher picked up a pebble and placed it in his hand. "This pebble contains the whole universe," he said. "How?" asked the monk. "Because when you look deeply enough, there is nothing that is not in it. Sky, water, time, and life." "But it is so small," said the monk. "Exactly," said the master. "Happiness is not in the size of what you hold, but in how completely you hold it." The monk closed his hand around the stone and smiled. Even a single pebble seen fully can fill the heart. The gentle practice of gratitude. Soft rain returns, wind sighs gently through trees. Each night before sleep, the Zen monks bow once for what they received that day. A meal, a kind word, a lesson. All are counted, none are small. This bow is not worship, it is remembering. You can try this now. Think of 3 things from today. A smile, a color, a breath of wind. Whisper softly, "Thank you." Notice how the heart changes the moment it speaks those words. Gratitude turns the ordinary into the sacred. Living simply, living fully. Temple bell rings once, flute resumes. Simplicity does not mean doing less. It means doing one thing at a time, with full attention, with love. When you walk, just walk. When you listen, just listen. When you rest, rest completely. The modern world celebrates speed, but the soul blooms in slowness. Simplicity is not an escape from life. It is a return to its rhythm. The rhythm of breath, the rhythm of heart, the rhythm of enough, the ocean of belonging. Sound of distant waves again, night wind softens. When you no longer chase, you begin to see that you already belong. The ocean does not compare one wave to another. The sky does not count its stars. You too are enough, not as an idea, but as the living truth of this moment. Right now, the earth holds you. The air sustains you. Existence says yes to you with every heartbeat. What more proof of worth could you need? Rest in that yes. Closing of part 6. Three soft bell tones echo, rain fades. Simplicity is not the absence of things, but the presence of peace. Tonight you have remembered that enoughness is not reached by climbing higher, but by settling deeper. The cup is already full. The song is already complete. All that remains is to sit quietly and drink from the moment. Flute and wind merge into one long note that fades into silence. Part 7. Returning to stillness, the circle of awareness. Estimated narration time 20 minutes total. This segment 10-12 minutes. Soft night wind over pine trees. A single temple bell resonates long, then fades beneath a deep hum like the breath of the earth. We have walked through the mountains of the mind, through pain, compassion, impermanence, and simplicity. Each step has been a return. Now there is nowhere else to go. Only this: stillness, awareness, home. Zen says, at the beginning of the journey, mountains are mountains. In the middle, they are not. At the end, they are mountains again. You are the same mountain, only now you see it clearly. The mirror of mind. Soft water dripping in a cave. Faint echo of flute, almost like a memory. A student once asked his teacher, Obaku, where is the mind that seeks enlightenment? Obaku led him to a pond. Look, he said, what do you see? My reflection, the student replied. Obaku stirred the water with his staff. The reflection shattered. Now where are you? The student was silent. Gone, he said. Not gone, said Obaku. Only unseen. The reflection returns when the water is still. So too your true mind never disappears. You only stir it with thought. The student bowed deeply. For the first time he understood that enlightenment was not something to add, but something to stop disturbing. Awareness is the pond, always reflecting, never clinging. The moon and the river. Soft flute returns, gentle trickle of water. A monk once crossed a bridge at night and saw the moon reflected in the flowing river. The moon moves with the water, he thought, yet the moon itself is unmoving. In that instant he saw his own nature. Thoughts, emotions, memories, all were the river forever changing. But awareness, the witness, was the still unchanging moon. The monk bowed to the reflection and walked on, carrying the moon inside his heart. You too carry that moon. Even when life rushes like water, awareness remains luminous above. The circle returns. Low temple drumbeat, sound of wind through cedars. Everything you have learned leads back here. To this breath, this moment. The sky of mind, the arrows of pain, the lessons of compassion, the laughter of beginner's mind, the quiet of enough, all dissolve into this stillness. There is no boundary between you and the world. The breath you draw in was exhaled by a tree. The water in your veins once flowed through clouds and rivers. The warmth in your chest is the same fire that burns in the sun. You are not a visitor here. You are the universe noticing itself. The practice of silence. Rain softens to mist, flute quiets. Sit now in the silence. Let the world fall away. Names, duties, fears, hopes. Do not try to silence thought. Let it fade naturally like echoes in a cave. Beneath thought there is awareness. Beneath awareness there is being. Beneath being there is nothing. Yet that nothing holds everything. Zen calls this the great stillness. Not the absence of life, but life at rest in itself. You are not separate from this stillness. You are it, the candle and the wind. A soft crackle of fire, gentle breeze. Imagine a candle flame in a windless room. It does not fight to stay lit, it simply burns. When wind enters, the flame bends but does not vanish. Awareness is that flame. Life's winds may lean it, but they cannot extinguish it. Each breath you take feeds that light, and in its glow everything is forgiven. The infinite return. Slow heartbeat drum joins under soft flute. Birth and death, inhale and exhale, arrival and departure, the same movement. Awareness witnesses it all. When you see this, you stop fearing endings. For every ending is simply another inhale somewhere else. You have never truly left stillness. You have only forgotten to notice it. And now, by listening, Part 7. Returning to stillness. The circle of awareness. Continued. Estimated narration time. Remaining 10-12 minutes. Soft night rain against paper walls. A low temple bell hums once. Silence follows like breath. When the mind rests completely, even the smallest sound becomes music. The hum of crickets, the pulse of your own heartbeat, the faint rhythm of rain, all are chanting the same mantra now. In this now, there is no distance between you and life. You are the hearing and the sound, the seeing and the seen, the breathing and the breath. Awareness folds into itself like an ocean returning to still water. The old tree in the sky. Wind moves gently through high branches, a faint owl calls. A traveler once asked an old monk resting beneath a cedar, "Master, what is Zen?" The monk smiled, tapped the earth with his staff, and said, "This." The traveler waited for explanation, but none came. Slowly he began to notice the scent of the cedar, the cool air on his skin, the breath moving quietly in and out. And this was not an answer. It was the whole world. The monk closed his eyes again. When you truly see, even the act of breathing is a temple. The traveler bowed and walked away changed. Not wiser, but clearer. The mirror that sees itself. Soft echo of dripping water. Flute enters with a slow descending phrase. Imagine a mirror that suddenly turns to see itself. That is awareness awakening. For countless lifetimes, the mirror reflected everything. Joy and sorrow, night and morning, believing itself to be the images it held. Then one quiet evening, it noticed its own clarity. It realized it had never been stained by what it reflected. This realization is enlightenment, not becoming holy, but remembering your own transparency. You were never broken, you only believed the dust was you. Now the dust has settled, and the mirror shines by its own light. The great silence. All instruments fade, only breath and faint rain remain. Rest here. Let go of every teaching, every story, every effort. Do not even call this meditation, just being. The great silence does not need your understanding. It has been listening since before words were born. In this silence there is no seeker, no path, no goal. Only awareness aware of itself, vast, boundless, luminous. Feel it spreading through the body like warm light. From the crown of the head to the soles of the feet, every cell hums the same truth. I am. The return. Soft drum heartbeat resumes, flute joins in high, clear tones. Soon you will open your eyes, the world will return. The room, the sounds, the tasks waiting beyond this stillness. But something in you has changed. The sky within you is wider, the breath slower, the heart gentler. You will still laugh and grieve, work and rest, but now you will know the quiet center beneath it all. You will know that even in noise there is silence, even in motion there is peace. Every act of your life can become meditation, washing a bowl, speaking a kind word, pausing before you answer. Awareness will walk with you like a friend who never leaves. The circle closes. A temple bell strikes 3 times, each softer than the last. We began with a breath, we end with the same breath. Between the two, a lifetime unfolded. Thought and stillness, loss and love, enough and beyond. Yet the beginning and the ending are not two. They meet in the same moment called now. This is the circle of awareness, without edge, without center, without end. Wherever you go, you are always returning home. Hulatz's final blessing. Flute plays a single ascending phrase, then holds a long note. Rain fades completely. May you walk gently in this world. May your eyes stay open to wonder. May your heart remain soft enough to feel, strong enough to let go. And when the noise of life grows loud again, may you remember this stillness, not as a memory, but as your truest nature. You are the sky. You are the ocean. You are the quiet watcher of all things. Breathe once more. Inhale the universe. Exhale yourself into it. The practice is complete, and it has only just begun. Eat long silence. Then one final temple bell echoes and fades into infinity. You have remembered. Soft rain returns briefly, then fades into silence. Part 8. The Way of Everyday Zen. Estimated narration time for this segment 10 to 12 minutes. Soft morning soundscape, Light rain fading into birdsong, bamboo flute low and warm. The practice of stillness does not end when the bell fades. True Zen begins when the cushion is left behind. It moves with you into the street, into the kitchen, into the pulse of ordinary life. The monks call this the way of everyday Zen, a path not of escape but of presence. The cobbler and the monk, soft hammering sound, distant market murmurs. Long ago, in a busy village, there lived a cobbler named Ren Shu. He spent his days repairing shoes, leather dust in his beard, the smell of oil and sweat on his hands. One day, a traveling monk passed by and stopped at his stall. "You work from dawn to dusk," said the monk. "Do you ever rest?" Renshu smiled without looking up. "Rest, every stitch is rest." The monk watched as his hands moved with perfect rhythm. Needle through leather, pull, knot, breathe. "Each shoe," Renshu said, "is a meditation on the road it will walk." The monk bowed. "Then you are farther along the path than many who sit all day." Everyday Zen is like that. It turns every act into prayer, not by changing the act, but by changing the attention within it. Zen in the street. Soft city ambience, footsteps, faint laughter, wind. Imagine walking through a crowded street. Noise, color, movement, life rushing in all directions. The untrained mind tightens, defending itself from chaos. The awakened mind relaxes, letting sound and motion flow through like wind through bamboo. Each face becomes a reflection of your own. The hurried man, the laughing child, the weary woman at the corner. Awareness meets them all with the same gaze, gentle, curious, free of judgment. Try it sometime. Walk slowly, breathing softly, letting your eyes rest on the world without naming it. Feel the rhythm of footsteps as the heartbeat of the earth. Soon you will notice a quiet joy beneath the noise. The joy of simply being alive among all other lives. The baker's hands, soft crackle of oven fire, rhythmic kneading sound. In a small town near the mountains, a baker named Aya rose before dawn each day. She kneaded dough while others still slept, the scent of yeast filling the dark. Her neighbors often said she must be tired of the routine. "Tired?" she laughed. "The bread never complains, so neither do I." One morning, a stranger asked to watch her work. He noticed how she breathed with the dough, pressing, folding, pausing, waiting for it to rise. "It seems like prayer," he said. Aya smiled. "It is. The dough teaches me patience every day." She explained that if she rushed, the bread grew heavy. "It's the same with life," she said. "You can't hurry what needs time to rise." The stranger left with warm bread and a warmer heart. Work done with presence becomes nourishment, not just for others, but for the soul itself. Zen and the voice. Soft temple interior ambience, echo of chanting. Words, too, can be practice. Each syllable is a bell, each silence a bow. The masters teach right speech, not to moralize, but because every word shapes the air we share. When you speak slowly, truth finds time to enter. When you listen completely, compassion hears what anger cannot. Try speaking as if your words were incense smoke, delicate, fragrant, disappearing. Let them rise from kindness and vanish without trace. The bridge of kindness. Sound of river under wooden bridge. Light rain begins again. One rainy night, a man named Shin found a traveler shivering beneath a bridge. Without thinking, he took off his cloak and placed it over the stranger's shoulders. "Thank you," the traveler whispered. "How can I repay you?" "By staying warm," said Shin and walked away. Years later, during a drought, Shin wandered hungry into a distant village. A woman recognized him and brought him food. "My father told me of the monk who gave him a cloak long ago," she said. Shin bowed. Compassion always returns, though not in the form we expect. Every act of kindness builds an invisible bridge across time. Pausing in the world. Temple bell, flute fades to silence. Everyday Zen is not about doing more. It is about pausing in the middle of doing. Between each task lies a doorway to awareness. The moment before you lift the cup, the breath before you answer, the heartbeat before you step forward. In those small spaces, life reveals itself. The world rushes, you need not rush with it. Just pause, breathe, and remember. The temple is everywhere you stand. Flute and bell harmonize, slow fade. Part 8. The Way of Everyday Zen continued. Estimated narration time for this segment, 10-12 minutes. A soft afternoon wind through trees, faint hum of cicadas, flute begins a gentle, repetitive theme. The practice of Zen does not end when the eyes open. It begins there. The masters say, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The actions never change. The awareness within them does. Everyday Zen is not about escaping the world, but about returning to it with quiet eyes. The woman in the mirror, in sound of water basin, soft brush of fabric. In a mountain village there lived a woman named Tama, who grew weary of her aging face. Each morning she stared at her reflection, tracing new lines at the corners of her eyes. "I am disappearing," she whispered. One day her daughter brought home an old mirror cracked across the middle. "Look, mother," she said, "it shows two faces at once." Tama frowned, but looked anyway. On one side her reflection smiled gently. On the other it shimmered with a strange light. In the split surface she saw herself as both young and old, both mother and child, both becoming and returning. The crack became a teacher. Each day she sat before it in silence. Over time she began to see not the lines but the light behind them. One morning she whispered, "I am not disappearing. I am becoming transparent." Everyday Zen means seeing through appearances until you recognize the eternity hiding in change. Zen in listening, soft sound of wind chimes and a distant conversation fading. The art of listening is perhaps the most difficult form of Zen. To truly listen is to empty yourself, to let another's words echo in a silent heart. Most people listen to reply. Few listen to understand. When you listen without judgment, you offer a space for healing. Try it with someone you love. Instead of preparing your answer, breathe once and hear the music behind their words. Even their anger carries a melody, a cry for connection, a longing to be seen. Everyday Zen listens not with the ears, but with the whole being. In deep listening, the line between speaker and listener dissolves, and what remains is simple presence. The monk and the dog. Sound of temple courtyard, dog barking softly. One evening, a monk named Shu walked through the temple garden. A stray dog followed him, hungry and limping. Shu fed it rice and whispered a chant before continuing. The next day the dog returned. The monks complained, "It dirties the courtyard." Shu said nothing. He simply continued to feed it. Months passed. One morning the dog did not come. Shu found its body beneath a tree and buried it with care. The abbot asked, "Why such devotion to an animal?" Shu bowed. "Because for months it practiced patience with us all." The abbot smiled. "Then you both attained enlightenment. Compassion practiced daily becomes indistinguishable from wisdom." The practice of breathing in motion. Rhythmic sound of footsteps on a dirt path. Walking is a prayer if you breathe with it. As one foot lifts, inhale. As it touches the ground, exhale. Feel the earth beneath you, solid and forgiving. The world moves and you move with it. Even in a busy street, you can find the pace of peace. Let your breath be the metronome of your attention. The destination is never elsewhere. It is every step. The weaver's thread. Soft shuttle sound of a loom, wind, rustling cloth. There was once a weaver named Mina. Each day she wove patterns so intricate that travelers came from far away to watch. When asked how she stayed focused, she said, "Every thread is a breath, every color a moment. When I lose attention, the cloth breaks." One afternoon, a visitor noticed a small flaw in her work. "Will you fix it?" he asked. Mina shook her head. "No. The flaw keeps the cloth alive. Only the gods weave without error." She smiled and said, "Perfection is not the goal. Continuity is. The beauty of life lies not in flawlessness, but in persistence. The quiet courage to keep weaving. Zen in eating. The sound of chopsticks on a bowl, low murmur of a meal. Eating can be meditation too. In the monastery, the monks eat in silence. Every bite is received as if it were the universe itself. The bowl is the world, the spoon the moon. They bow to the meal before and after, not out of habit, but to remember the web of life that brought it there. You can do the same. When you eat, eat. Taste without rushing. Chew the sunlight that grew the grain, the rain that fed the soil, the hands that harvested and cooked. Gratitude is the most nourishing flavor. The sound between notes. Flute and strings pause, only air and faint heartbeat drum. Every sound is born from silence and returns to it. The music of life is the dance between the two. You cannot hold the note forever. You can only enjoy its echo. So too with this life. Each experience, each love, each breath, a single note in an endless song. Part 8. The Way of Everyday Zen continued. Estimated narration time for this segment 10 to 12 minutes. Soft evening breeze through bamboo. Distant bell rings once. A flute begins a slow, tender tune. In the dance of daily life, awareness is the step that keeps rhythm. Work and rest, speech and silence, giving and receiving, all follow the same heartbeat of existence. Zen is not a pause between tasks. It is the spirit in which the task is done. The carpenter's patience. The sound of saw cutting softly, rhythmic hammering. There was a carpenter named Kenji who built temples. His apprentices often asked how he achieved such perfect balance in every beam. Kenji would smile. "I do not make the wood obey me," he said. "I listen for where it wants to rest." Each piece of timber, he explained, had its own grain, its own song. If I fight it, the wood breaks. If I follow it, it becomes strong. One apprentice grew impatient. "But that takes too long." Kenji nodded. "So does growing a tree. Yet here we are, working with its patience." He tapped the wood gently and whispered, "Hurry is the enemy of grace." Everyday Zen in work is listening for the rhythm of the materials. The wood, the breath, the life that flows through both. Zen in love, soft hum of night insects, wind through reeds. Love, too, is a practice of awareness. To love someone deeply is not to possess them, but to see them clearly, again and again, as if for the first time. Most pain in love comes from forgetting that truth changes form. People evolve, hearts shift, yet love can remain if we let it move with the flow. In Zen, they say, love is not attachment, it is intimacy without fear. When you sit with someone in silence, feeling their breath rise and fall beside yours, you remember that connection does not require words. The quiet presence of another soul can be enough to heal a lifetime of loneliness. Try this. The next time you hold someone's hand, do it as though it were the first and last time. Notice the warmth, the pulse, the miracle of being alive together. That is Zen in love. The mother and the lantern, soft crackle of candle flame. A mother once asked her teacher, "How can I practice Zen while raising children? I have no time for meditation." The teacher lit a lantern and handed it to her. "Then let this be your practice. Keep this light burning, and wherever you go, let it remind you to breathe." For years, she carried a small lamp in her kitchen. While cooking, she breathed with the flame. While comforting her child, she breathed again. One night, after her children had grown and left home, she noticed the lantern flicker. Tears filled her eyes. She realized she had been meditating all along. Every meal, every lullaby, every sleepless night. Zen had never been absent. She simply hadn't called it by name. The art of rest. Sound of flowing stream, faint flute melody. Rest is as sacred as effort. The universe itself breathes. Day and night, creation and stillness, expansion and return. The body too has tides. When you rest, you are not stopping practice. You are deepening it. True rest is not collapse. It is conscious ease. Try lying down tonight and feeling the ground hold you. The earth has never dropped anyone. Let it carry you without condition. Feel each muscle soften, the breath slowing, the mind releasing its grip. Rest like a mountain, unmoving yet alive. Zen does not measure worth by motion but by presence. The musicians pause. Soft string instrument playing a simple melody, then a pause. A young musician once asked his master, "When I play, how can I make people feel peace?" The master replied, "Learn to play the silence between notes." The student frowned. "But silence is not music." "Without silence," said the master, "music cannot exist." The student practiced for years until one evening, his performance ended in a long, deliberate pause. The audience held its breath. In that quiet, they felt something vast, a peace beyond sound. The master smiled. "Now you are not playing music, you are letting music play you." Life is like that too. When we stop trying to control the melody, the harmony of existence reveals itself. Zen in work, sound of quiet workshop, rhythmic tapping. Every act of work, done with attention, becomes meditation. Whether you write, paint, clean, or heal, the key is the same. Be fully there. The world praises results, Zen honors presence. When you work just to finish, the moment is lost. When you work for the sake of the work, time disappears, and peace takes its place. The Buddha once said, "When you sweep the floor, sweep as if you are cleansing the mind." Whatever your task today, let it be sacred. The sacred is not a place. It is the way you move your hands. Everyday Zen is hearing that music even in the noise. Part 8. The Way of Everyday Zen, final segment. Estimated narration time 10-12 minutes. Soft rain outside a window. Low bell tone hums beneath distant thunder, then fades. There is no separation between meditation and living. When you live with awareness, every gesture becomes a prayer. When you live with gentleness, even silence becomes a song. The true temple is not made of stone or wood. It is built of moments like these, simple, unnoticed, alive. The farmer and the storm. Sound of wind through fields, low rumble of thunder. During a great storm, a farmer ran into the temple seeking shelter. "Master," he said, "the wind is destroying everything. How can I remain calm while my crops are gone?" The teacher closed his eyes and said, "When the storm passes, the seeds will still be in the ground." The farmer frowned. "But they'll be buried under mud." "Exactly," said the master. "The mud is where roots grow." The storm raged all night. In the morning, the farmer saw that his fields were indeed covered in silt, rich, dark, fertile. Months later, the harvest was greater than ever. He bowed to the sky. "Thank you for the storm." Zen teaches that even chaos can be compassion in disguise. Nothing is wasted. Everything is nourishment. The painter of wind. Soft brush strokes on paper, gentle flute motif. A painter once asked her teacher, "How can I capture the wind on canvas?" The teacher replied, "Paint the things it moves." She painted trees bending, grass swaying, waves breaking against the shore. When she finished, the master nodded. "Now I can feel the wind." Everyday Zen is like that. You do not need to show peace. You let your actions reveal it. The way you touch, the way you speak, the way you breathe. These are your paintings. And in their quiet movement, others will feel the wind of your stillness. The market and the monk. Soft market ambience, chatter fading in and out. One afternoon, a monk walked through a noisy market. People shouted, coins clattered, merchants argued. Yet the monk's eyes were peaceful, his steps slow. A child asked, "Master, how can you be calm in all this noise?" The monk smiled. "Where else could I practice silence?" He paused at a fruit stall, lifted an apple and said, "This too is Zen." He bit into it, slowly, completely. The child laughed. "It's just eating." "Exactly," said the monk, "and that's the miracle. Everyday Zen is not about adding more silence. It's about remembering that silence never left. Even in the market, the stillness remains beneath the sound. The candle and the mirror. Ooh, soft flame crackle, bell tone in background. In the heart of each of us, there is a candle and a mirror. The candle is awareness, light that never truly fades. The mirror is compassion, reflecting all things without judgment. When awareness and compassion burn together, the room of life becomes luminous. That is the way of everyday Zen. Light and reflection, warmth and clarity, being and seeing. You do not need to chase enlightenment. Just keep the flame steady and keep the mirror clean. Living the circle. Soft heartbeat drum flute plays a slow ascending line. The circle of awareness continues. Morning to night, breath to breath, presence to presence. What you learn in stillness, you carry into sound. What you discover in silence, you live in words. When you wash dishes, feel the warmth of water. When you greet a friend, look into their eyes fully. When you fail, bow to the lesson. This is not philosophy. It is life lived awake. The ocean's teaching. Waves returning to shore, soft and endless. The ocean does not cling to a single wave. It welcomes each rise and fall. Be like the ocean. Welcome joy, welcome sorrow, welcome change. Let it all come and go. The sea does not keep count, and still it remains whole. So too will you when you stop counting losses and gains. The fullness you seek is the acceptance of all tides. Final reflection. Temple bell rings 3 times slowly. Flute fades into silence. In the end, Zen is simply this: to live fully, to notice deeply, to rest kindly in the flow of things. When you sit, sit. When you walk, walk. When you love, love. Let each act be complete in itself, like a wave dissolving back into the sea. Remember, the sky within you is boundless. The stillness you found tonight is not a moment, it is your nature. Carry it with you into tomorrow, into noise, into laughter, into work, into rest. You will forget sometimes, that's all right. Just begin again. Every breath is a new beginning. Soft rain fades completely, only the hum of silence remains. The practice is not to escape life, but to be so fully alive that even silence breathes through you. You are the breath, you are the silence, you are the sky within which all things move. Breathe once more. Inhale the world, exhale gratitude. The journey is complete. The circle is whole. Peace. One final temple bell echoes long into the distance, fading into infinite stillness.